Hi everyone, I welcome you today for our podcast on choosing the right career path, the power of skill assessment and counseling. With me, I have Mr. G.R. Sunil, who is a professional student career counselor. So, welcome Sunil for this podcast.
Hi Avinash, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sunil?
I'm good, Avinash.
Yeah. So, Sunil, if you can actually tell us what you have been doing all this while, so that will really give some knowledge to our viewers today on a brief about yourself.
My life, I could say it's been a roller coaster ride. So, I studied from Sainik School, Korukonda,
Hmm.
which has its name for discipline and then overall development of the personality.
Yeah.
So, that's where it all stemmed, I think. Then I studied from NIT Warangal, did my computer science there, and then was into software engineering like everyone else. And I was one of the few members who started early into e-commerce in India. So we were, one of the early adapters when Flipkart started in India. And then I moved on to a company called Infibeam Avenues, which we acquired CC Avenues. If you have done an online transaction, you will know
Correct.
this. And then worked as a project manager for big projects like a government e-marketplace initiated by Ministry of Commerce in India, and then worked for a brief time for GeoMart. If you have shopped on geomart.com, then it's something that we worked on.
Okay.
Of late, last 3-4 years, I happened to move into education industry in India. So my friend, one of our friends, he asked me to come and help in counseling for students who want to study abroad. This happened because I did my MSc psychology out of curiosity. There was no other great interest in that, but I wanted to learn how the human behavior happens and then how people react, and then it helped me in counseling people in studying abroad. Like I used to advise some people if they are suitable for this particular subject or this country and things like those. Then the curiosity took over me, where I was actually wondering if skills can be directly matched with the student's personality right from an early age. So that's when we I did a lot of research on this skill assessment and then career counseling, and that's how all this thing happened, where I started a company called Gr8. So that's how the journey was.
So, what do you do with the great appers? How do you counsel students? What exactly do you get into?
So
By
before that,
what is student counseling? Why is it so important?
absolutely. So that's a nice question. So let's get into a step back, where we will discuss on what skill assessment is, why it is important. So I'll give you a couple of examples. See, every person is unique in their own skills until they are discovered. Okay, there can be some prodigies where they are discovered very early at 3 or 4 or 5 age, but there are some people who don't know what their potential and what their skills are. For example, if you see an introvert, if you put him in a sales job, he will miserably fail. Okay, so that's where we come. So we try to identify what skills are there in a student and how it can actually map to the career that are already there. For example, there is a small town in Armoor near Nizamabad. So there's this guy called Abhinav. Okay, Abhinav was not very great at studies. His father is a farmer. I would say very broad-minded father. So he observed till 10th class and he's put him on tuitions and things like those. But he never could cope up with the general education system in India. But he was very good at pencil art. So
Okay.
he was natural at that, I can say. So what father did was he said, okay, this guy is anyway not going to cope in the studies. So he encouraged him in the pencil art, and then he joined him in the UI UX courses and things like those. You will be surprised, Avinash. He worked as one of the designers for a movie called Kalki.
Yeah, it's a famous
It's a
movie.
pretty
Yeah,
famous
yeah.
movie with all the graphics and all. The
Hmm.
graphics were handled by a London-based company, and he is recruited there.
Okay.
And he is now working in London as an UI
Okay.
UX designer.
So you mean to say somebody who is coming from remotest villages of the country,
Right.
suddenly because the father could identify at an early
Exactly.
stage.
The encouragement from the father
Hmm.
and the identification of that skill, that actually, otherwise you would have seen him miserably failing in those competitive exams,
Correct.
getting into depressions, and father spending huge amounts of money on those things which is not even interested.
Okay. So I want to ask you something else. If a career counseling has to happen, what is the suitable age you think where we can counsel students from?
Right.
What age it could be? Means maybe 3 or 4, as you say, as a protege's
Hmm.
children. It would be too early probably. But what do you, out of your experience, what do
See,
you say we should get into?
right. In psychology, after 13 years, you generally frame your mindset and your personality type is decided after 13.
Okay.
So 13, 14 years is the right time to have a skill assessment.
Okay.
The skill assessment is not a test of memory, not
Mm-hmm.
a test of knowledge. It's a test of, the aptitude, the numerical aptitude, and then language skills, personality types, learning style. All these come into the picture. It's not about only those academic things that we are doing here. So this gives us a basic and then extensive picture of the student, of what he is good at and what he is bad at, and then strengths, weaknesses, things like those. And we've built this artificial intelligence software which will actually give you lots of career options. uh, the reason why I'm telling this skill assessment is important is especially for the parents. Okay, let's say, Avinash, how many careers you know right now?
I can count maybe some 15, 20 maybe.
Yeah, maximum, let's say 15 to 20
Yeah.
if you try hard as a.
Yeah.
But there are more than 12,000 careers only in India,
Okay.
and across the world,
Interesting.
if you see, it's more than 30,000 plus.
Okay.
So back in our days, you must be knowing, we only had two options. One was engineering, and then
Yeah,
was
correct.
medicine. Uh,
The popular options were
right.
these.
So now there's too much information on the internet, lots of exposure and lots of things. Why, I'll take my example. I was good at sports in my school and
Yeah,
college
I
days.
know. We studied together,
Yeah,
so
we studied
yeah.
together, so you must be knowing well. But what was the scope there? There was nothing. If you see now, there is IPL, there is Pro Kabaddi, there is Football League, table tennis, lots and lots of options, and there are local teams, and
Yeah.
there are careers in sports like physiotherapy, and then artificial intelligence, and then data science. All these things are only in this sports. So this kind of exposure was not there,
Mm.
but now it's there. It's there, and then people, and then they're all economically viable, and then the income generating programs, unlike our times. So I think right now, instead of putting pressure on students, on unfortunately or fortunately, I'll say unfortunately only, uh, parents pressurize their students out of their peer pressure to particularly go for this course only. So
So,
that's where
if I have to say this, like because there's so much of exposure nowadays,
mhm.
so has it become really complicated? Career choosing career options have become complicated. So that's where you come into picture.
It is complicated because like what you said is right. There are too many options,
Hmm.
and then this generation doesn't know what to do with that information. Okay,
Okay.
so that is point one. Point one is somebody wants to be an influencer. He's earning money, so let me also be an influencer. You
Okay.
got my point. So that is where, but your interests and your skills should match. So
Okay.
that's where the whole game is. For example, I want to be a 100-meter runner. Okay,
Okay.
but my body should cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, an asthmatic patient has a desire to have to become a 100 meters runner, sprinter, but his body will not cooperate. So
Okay.
these are the things that we have to match, and then get him into a right career. There are lots of other things also. For example, I'll take an example with this guy called Praveen. He was my colleague. um, so he was recruited in my company as a telecaller,
Okay.
a customer service guy, where
Mm-hmm.
people call and then he solves the problems and things like that. But he had a very good knack of art, the color combinations and things like those.
Mm-hmm.
So he started trying his hand on UI designing. within I think 8 months he learned HTML, JavaScripts, and those kinds of
Okay.
software programs which are useful to make a design on the website. Now he's working for a German company as a UX designer.
Okay.
If he wouldn't have realized, and people like me and others wouldn't have encouraged him, he would be still telecalling somewhere.
Correct.
So it is very important to identify your skill.
Okay.
And then there are two parts here. So one is you identify your skill, and then we map it according to your skills and then your interests, and then you take up that career. Or you can actually identify your skills and lag where are you lagging in your skills, and you can develop. There are some skills that can be developed.
Okay. Even after some age, you say
Right.
that's what you.
So there are some things which for example, mathematics. Everybody is scared of mathematics,
Yeah.
but you put in a lot of effort, lots of practice, you can master that maths.
Okay.
So there are some skills that you can master. So this assessment and counseling helps you in two ways. One is directly mapped to the career that you are looking at. Second is, if you are lagging in some skills and you are very adamant on going there only, that career only, then you can actually master. For example, my friend Ravi, you also know him. So whenever in childhood, whenever we used to ask him, he used to, I want to be an IAS officer, I want to be a collector, kind of. But he never left there. So he passed out of the school, and then he joined. Uh, he studied in NIT Warangal,
NIT.
and then he also worked for AP Genco here. But he kept on studying.
Correct.
He mastered the skills. He
Yeah.
learned, and then eventually he's an IAS officer now.
Yes.
So you should also have that passion. So somebody who is very passionate to only get into that career, this skill assessment will help him where he is lagging, and you can put an extra effort there.
So that you improvise and you
Right.
can reach the goal faster,
Exactly.
maybe. And also, I have to ask you, if I have to go back
Right.
and ask you, one you said is we were discussing 13 years could be a good time.
Because
Yeah,
mentally
yeah.
you're framed.
But if
yeah.
I have to, at what time will be the maximum for a student where, let's say, is it a maximum of intermediate they should get into, or 10th standard, or is it degree tak they can always take it? How is it?
So
Means what is your recommendation?
see, ideally, this can be started at 8th class, because generally your mind is totally shaped.
Okay.
As per the psychology, 8th, 9th, 10th, okay, 11th, 12th. Somebody who has taken at 8th can also take at 12th, because his interests might change.
Change.
There could
Okay.
be a lot of exposure. He
Okay.
might be particularly interested in some other thing, and then 11th, 12th, and then graduation first year. Ironically, in engineering third year we will actually know what we are good at.
Okay.
Until that time, we'll keep making our parents happy.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where, so there are people who take while they are working in professions also. Interestingly, there was a survey where it shows 70% of the professionals in any industry
Okay.
are not happy.
Okay.
They joined, and then they went to the peer pressure, that money trap, and then they keep earning, but they're not happy. If you ask anybody, are you happy with the job? No, yaar, I was thinking of doing that, but we have to continue doing this. So that kind of thing. There are some statistics that I'll throw you. Last year, the so-called IITs, 23 IITs, amongst them only 38% of the students, which roughly comes to 8,000,
could get their placement.
couldn't get the placement.
Couldn't get.
Couldn't get the placement because they are not viable for the jobs that the recruiters came. So you see, things are like that, and then this industry is booming now. I think by 2030 there is a requirement of 1.5 million career counselors in India.
Okay, and I think you are one of the first ACE companies which have started in Telangana to do this career
Right,
counseling.
there are
That's
some
what I
other
was.
companies
But
also,
you are.
yeah.
That's what I have been
So-
hearing in the news as well. That Gr8 appers have been doing wonderfully great.
We want to
So-
reach out to as many people as possible, help them out, because I personally believe that I've seen many people dropping out of the college because they pick up something and they're not interested anymore. I've seen parents spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees on something which student is not interested.
So it's not even viable both
Viable
for the student
student
as
and
well
then
as
the
the parent.
parent.
Yeah.
Then I thought, why not groom them at a early age, and then take them to the proper career.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have some success stories from Gr8 appers?
yeah, there are a couple of success stories which I want to share. So one is this lady called Kirtana. So Kirtana is very good at mathematics. Okay. So obviously people will say, okay, let's take her to engineering,
Correct.
science and things. But she's very passionate about talking to people, counseling.
Okay.
Okay. So she was confused whether she should be, going for law or going for psychology.
Okay.
So after this test, she realized that psychology is a good subject, not law.
Okay.
So now she's preparing for law exams and things like that, and she also wants to study abroad. So that is one success story. Second is one guy who is very good at maths, but um, unfortunately or fortunately, his father is a biotechnologist.
Okay.
So obviously he's pushing this
pushing
guy
him,
also into
correct.
biotech, and then
Yeah.
because somebody in the family is into something and is successful, everybody in the family wants to imitate him, try to go in the same way and things
Yeah,
like
like we have doctors,
that.
children
Doctors,
becoming
yeah,
doctors, civil servants,
civil
children
servants becoming
becoming
civil
civil servants.
servants.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So after this test, he realized, okay, his interest is in mathematics, and he has an innate interest of artificial intelligence and machine learning, but he was always scared to tell his dad because his dad was.
Into biotechnology. Yeah, okay.
Eventually, we counseled
Both the
both, and then
parent and the student. So,
yeah.
Great Apples also counsel the parents as well.
Yes, so our model is very simple. Our model is, we have this assessment test that we have developed with artificial intelligence. The reason why I am using artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence doesn't get tired. Okay.
Yes.
As a counselor, if or as a, let's say, as a teacher, as a professor, if you give me 50 papers to correct, first 5 papers I would correct very nicely. Rest of the 45 papers, I
Correct.
wouldn't even look at some answers. Let's be very frank.
Yes.
Okay, because we get tired. It's not that we don't want to do. We get tired, and then there are a lot of other disturbances that we get. AI doesn't do that.
Correct.
The first assessment and the last assessment and the 1000th assessment, it does the same way because it is handled by the machine. So it is never biased in counseling, because let's suppose you ask me, I worked in software industry for a long time, so I'll go here and there, but eventually I might come back to suggesting student about
Yeah.
advantages and disadvantages of my career which I took up.
Yeah.
AI doesn't do that. It's not biased. And third most important, it's adaptable and it keeps learning. That's why it's called AI. AI, the more you interact, the more you information you give it to that, it'll keep learning more. And it will self-develop, new concepts and things like that. So we have used this thing, and I must say, and actually I'm proud to say around 92% accuracy is there with our.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then we have a counselor who will actually interpret the report and advise the teacher, advise the parent and the student together.
Okay.
Okay, it's important to address the parent also, because in India, it's parents' decision than the student's decision right now. Okay, so it might change in the future. I don't know, but right now it is. So we counsel both, and all these psychologists, all these counselors are qualified psychologists in my company.
Okay.
So, and third, we'll give you an extensive report of 50 page
Okay.
graphical report, so that even after the counseling, you can still go back to the report and check what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, and all those things.
Okay.
This report is very extensive.
So Great Apples does this counseling at an individual level or at a school level as well.
No, we take up both. One is we approach and partner with school students. So where we will see if the student can come with a parent for counseling, which is not possible
Okay.
practically. So we take the assessment there, but we can counsel the parents online.
Okay.
And individual level also, whoever can come, we can do that assessment and then counsel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at school levels, do you work? Are you tying up with some
Yes, we are
schools?
partnering with lots of schools now.
Okay.
And then we are trying to educate the parents. So this is an advantage for everybody. School also is giving an added service to the students and the parents, and how it should go about. Student is actually getting what is good at, what is not good at, and parents actually know what are the capabilities of the student, what are his interests, and then we as a company also.
And I think even
help
the
you.
teachers would know where,
Exactly.
if at all, let's say one student is probably scoring good at maths, but his passion is towards art. So
Right.
the teacher can also
encourage them
them
and
in
then-
that field wherever they are interested
because
in.
earlier days it was a not good decision because there was not enough exposure. Now there is a career in everything.
Yes.
and people know how to approach.
Mhm.
So I think this is the right time where should identify. Sad to say, I've seen many people, many students, suiciding because they didn't get a good rank.
The rank.
This actually pains me because okay, I'm not good at something. I'm not good at something. It's okay, but there are 100 other things that I'm good at, and there is a career out of it. Do you know, Avinash, there is a career called tea tasting?
Yeah.
Okay, tea tasting. People, you'll have to test the tea, taste the tea, and then tell the aroma and things like that. And people are getting paid 1.5 to 2 lakhs per month.
Yeah, you have wine testing as
Wine
well.
tasting.
So likewise,
So
yes.
we don't know what the student is good at, and then that's where we have to explore. Instead of the parents suffer, they put lots and lots of money, and then it is not getting fruit. Students are very frustrated because there is a lot of competition on something which is not even want to do. So these are all the things that we consider, and then we're trying to approach to help the society, if you want to say.
Now that we are sitting in Hyderabad today, and I just wanted to know, what else do you do for Telangana? Are you also planning, probably, do you think it's a good idea for even government schools of Telangana to be exposed?
It is actually, because it's a long shot, because right now we are focusing on the private market, but government, I would really want to do this because I've seen when I go to the villages and things like those, I see students are very good at arts, very good at music, sports, but no exposure,
Yeah, I think
no enough
probably,
help.
yeah.
So I think the government should also take up an initiative and then get this test done. At least they will be able to understand where they are good at. Little push, little scholarships, monetary
Maybe,
help here and
yeah.
there.
So whatever follows later on would be
Later
of
on,
advantage.
advantage to the
Youth of Telangana,
exactly.
the
So
students of Telangana.
that
I
will
would
be a
say.
great initiative the government takes up.
Okay.
But otherwise, for NGOs and these things, we are ready to do it as a pro bono kind of thing
Okay.
also. So, but I think it will be great if government also identifies these things.
So you keep traveling.
I keep traveling. I have to, the biggest challenge is to, make people understand why this is important.
Because
So,
it just started, so I think it takes some
takes
effort.
time no, there are some very. When I was talking to one parent, so when I was talking to one parent, after explaining everything, he know what he said. సార్ అదంతా వదిలేయండి, నీట్లో ర్యాంక్ కొట్టాలంటే ఏం చేయాలి? సో ద కైండ్ ఆఫ్ మైండ్ సెట్
mindset is still there.
స్టిల్ హ్యావ్. So that's like that.
I think, but still, I think the young parents of today,
They
are also exposed already
yeah.
to, so they are open to
Yeah,
the
I
children
see,
getting
yeah,
into means
exactly.
majoritarily
Now there is a lot of
change
in the thought process and things like that. So you should actually have everybody has some passion. Okay, there's a famous saying in Telugu, on the funnier side, ఒక మంగళోడికి శ్రీదేవి అని చూపిస్తే వాడికి శ్రీదేవి జుట్టే కనిపిస్తుంది అంట. So there are some people who are so passionate that if you show them something, so they will see what they are good at and what they want to see.
Correct.
So identify that thing and then groom is something that amazes. I've counseled one student who is in Singapore, but he is a Indian. He's a student. He's a prodigy, I told you. Then he is very good at piano.
Okay.
So, and he's got lucky parents. They never put him in school.
Okay.
It's only music
Homeschooling.
schools.
Acha. Okay.
Now I processed his visa for the US graduation in music. So he's graduating in music there.
Acha, so Gr8 appers also.
We also help people who want to study abroad.
Everywhere. So you
Right,
help them,
so
you push them to that level.
So our services include skill assessment, career counseling, and then we also do study abroad. If somebody really wants to go abroad and study, so our skill assessment actually helps them which career to choose abroad, which subject to choose abroad, and which country suits him also.
Okay.
Because all these things are very important, because somebody should not go to some country and then he should not have a culture shock there.
Yes, and regret.
And then return back in 6 months. So all these things we do it, and then we also have this new program called personal mentorship.
Okay.
So what this program does is, like I said, somebody who is very passionate about getting into one industry only. I'll take an example of, let's say, biotechnology. Okay, just a
Okay.
random example. Biotechnology. Somebody wants to get into biotechnology.
Okay.
Okay, but he doesn't know. He's good at sciences. So what we do is we have one person who is already doing a job in biotechnology, generally an industry expert,
Okay.
and then he will be a personal mentor to this student.
So you have a mentorship program
Program
as well.
not
So
for 1 hour, not for 1 year, until he gets into the job.
okay.
So this program includes, he will oversee what kind of marks he's getting in biology. Since I'm talking about biotechnology and chemistry, and then there is one, and then he will actually advise him which college to go and how to get into that college, what kinds of courses he has to do after the college, where the internship has to happen. Since he's already in the industry, he has contacts for interns, and then there is a shadow mentorship also, where we will try to get him into the factory and see for a couple of, like, an intern program on how these things happen, and then
And
he'll help him.
probably they will also get to know the advancements
Advancement,
happening in the
right?
area. So
So
that also is of
yeah,
good help for
so
them to understand
this is a
better.
program that we exclusively have. I don't know if other people are doing it or not, across the industries.
Okay.
Somebody wants to be a designer,
Mm-hmm.
then we have somebody,
Who is in a design background,
like my
who's a
friend
design.
Professor Avinash here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you can be a mentor to
Of course, of
student.
course.
So
Yeah.
this is a new program that obviously, so it will be over a period of time. It's not, and then they will have at least touch base of once in a month, a call, and then review things, and intern programs and all these things. So
Okay.
this is a premier program that we have. Finally, we also have a child psychiatry program.
Okay.
Since I'm
What
busy,
is child
yeah, so
psychiatry
since I'm
program?
visiting schools, I've observed that some children are not naturally good at things. They must be
Okay.
having some traumas, some phobias and things like those. And then there is always couple of children who are like that, being teased and
Bullied
bullied because of
during.
these things, which he doesn't know that he also has.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't know that he has a phobia.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't know that like just I was entering into the lift and I saw one of your
Colleague.
colleague. He was
Yes.
scared of
Yes. Heights.
heights, and surprised that none of you people also know that.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
these are things that they don't know,
Hmm.
but their behavior can be observed by the school management and teachers.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where we have qualified psychiatrists.
They counsel students, parents.
Yes,
Maybe
MD
they'll even
psychiatrist,
counsel the teachers
the
as
teachers,
well.
probably there is any medication needed. So
Okay.
all these things can be. So we take up as a one-on-one case. So we have Dr. Sushmita
Okay.
Gajula from she's a very good psychiatrist. So she is on board with us.
Yeah, yeah. She's known
Yes,
psychiatrist. If I'm correct, she's from Vizag or somewhere,
Vaishakapatnam,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
So this also as a service we.
So, Great Apples, you mean to say, is serving everything in a platter for means you have an overall
Especially for
development
students
students.
and
Yeah,
end to
that
end. So we don't want to leave anything. If somebody is bad at something or good at something, or is has something in his mind, then we
okay.
make sure it is catered. So
And as I was asking you some success stories, and you rightfully said few, and also probably you might not be knowing.
I'll also tell you some
Yeah,
bad stories.
yeah. What happened?
Okay.
What went wrong?
Yeah, so I'll tell you two cases which are very interesting, which actually happened in my life. One was when I was working as a project manager in my company. So there is something called halo effect, Avinash.
Okay.
So what halo effect is you must have observed in many schools and colleges and everywhere actually. So if someone is very beautiful, okay,
Hmm.
so automatically we take it for granted that they'll be good at everything.
Okay.
That's how, if you see a school monitor in a class, generally he or she will be little handsome, or little
Smart.
outgoing, smart, and it's called halo effect. Okay, so this halo effect happened in my company.
Okay.
So there was one lady who was good looking, and then she was assigned a project. Unfortunately, she is not a leader kind of material. Okay,
Okay.
she's very good at following orders. Now she is thrust with this new responsibility as a project manager. Project manager's role is to oversee the success of the whole project, right from the incubation, collecting the requirements, assigning the modules or things to the team members,
And delivering
assessing,
it.
testing, doing the finances and all this. It's a total end-to-end job. So she was not capable, and then management had a halo
Yeah,
effect
fact. Okay.
thought on. So while it was going, in the middle of the project, everybody was getting frustrated because
Okay.
she's not able to lead. Since she is not able to lead, she has to cover up things.
Mm-hmm.
So and then she started, gossiping things here and there, and then at one point of time, it was jeopardizing the whole project.
Project.
So that's when management observed, okay, so this is a mistake that we have done. So these are the things. If the skill assessments was done in the
Okay.
professional area, they will know who is good at leading, who is not good at leading, who is good at this, who is good at that.
So you trying to say that great appers can also do skill assessment for professional
Yes,
companies
I think professional companies should use this concept of skill assessment
for their
for
employees?
their employers in terms of promotion, assigning new roles, or if somebody is
Okay.
not doing good, there can be a number of reasons. So let's
Okay.
identify why he is not good, where is he not going to, and then put him on a program,
Okay.
then improvise.
Wherever skills have to be
Right. So,
assessed and where there is
yeah.
an improvement, that
Because
scope, that
see,
training could be given.
collaboration is very important in professional life.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's where many people come together, and then so that's where all the conflicts happen. So if
Okay.
you can identify at least 60-70%, okay, this guy is like this, then
Mm-hmm.
I can actually put him in a proper role, and then
Okay.
or improvise
Okay.
his skills. There was one example. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at that age, people would take a skill assessment or not, or generally, but this is a mistake. I mean, that happened. One of the directors um, of a pharmaceutical company. Okay, so this guy is a very old guy, and then he's a scientist. So he
Okay.
actually makes formulations and things like that. But his skill is scientist. Okay, I'll come, I'll work, I'll go. But
Okay.
he is made the director, obviously, because see, Sachin Tendulkar is a good batsman. Doesn't mean he's a good captain. He was made a
Okay.
captain, and he was miserable at it. Okay,
Okay.
he himself identified, said, "I'm not going to be a captain anymore."
Okay.
So similar thing happened here. Halo effect. Since he's a good scientist, let's make him director, and so he can't manage people.
Mm.
He can't manage funds because it's not even his job. He never did that in his life.
Mm.
So companies started falling down.
Okay.
He has to take decisions which he can't take.
Okay.
Eventually, every employee was frustrated. Every other co-redactors were frustrated because all the power lies with him, but he is not taking right decisions at the right time. Even if he's taking a decision, it is not right, and who is going to oppose him?
I see such things also in many places around.
Right.
So, yeah, that's valid
And you as a
experience.
subordinate, you can't. These criticism will not be taken in the right
Right spirit.
spirit.
Yeah. Okay.
So these are the things. So if you take for yourself, at least you will know. Okay, I'm not capable for this. So
Okay.
let's make way for somebody
Correct.
and
Correct.
do my job rightly.
Correct.
So
Or I improvise on it.
improvise on it. So these are the things. Some
And if I have to ask you this, Sunil, if at all, let's say today my viewers want to know how to approach you, what is the way to
Right.
approach great appers?
So for great appers is people think it's an app. So
Yeah, it looks, it sounds like that.
So,
Yeah.
so apper is a guy, somebody who applies.
Okay.
I would have applied for a scholarship or an admission in anything, or
okay.
posting my resume somewhere. So anybody who applies for anything is called appers. So we are great appers.
Okay.
We're great appers where we apply lots of concepts and logics and things like that to help you, audience, students, to have a better life.
Okay.
So that's how our name is Great Appers. So you can approach it at greatappers.com, Gr8appers.com,
Okay.
or our number which we'll display anyway,
Okay.
77020 So we have these numbers and then things like that. So which we will have it in the description part.
Okay. What is the volume of students you could counsel? Let's say,
It's
what is your capacity?
right
The
now,
volume capacity.
we have a good 10 psychologists now.
Mhm.
So volume wise we can handle, but as I said, this is an expanding market. Okay, there is a growth of 20 to 30% year on year, which is very high. Okay, and I told you we need 1.3 million counselors.
Yes.
If it's a 1 to 250 ratio in India alone, so one
Okay.
counselor for 250
50.
people.
Okay.
So this is going to be huge.
Okay.
So the more we need more counselors, and then we need more parents who have to actually think broader, and then come up with they should actually be open to new suggestions and things like that. But we are expanding.
So, thank you for visiting us today, Sunil. I think it has been really great to know that you really require, because for us, we never knew we required some counseling. So, that was really nice to know that this is where productively a parent and a student, a child, can productively become something instead of wasting their time somewhere else. And I'm sure, as I've been talking to you, I'm sure Great Apples have been doing really wonderful as of now already. And I think it will do many more wonders to the nation tomorrow, especially for the children and the parents. So I wish you all the very best, and please keep coming to us
Sure.
once in a while, because we would really want to know what is the upgrades you are having. So that's all we would really want to know, because I'm sure having something like this will have the nation would also have good productive citizens.
Absolutely.
So that is more important as well. So thank you for visiting us.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Avinash, for inviting me and
yeah,
having me
yeah,
here. Yeah, I hope everybody
yeah.
takes a look at what this
Yes.
career counseling
So
is, skill
if there is
assessment is.
something closing sentences you want to give to us,
I would genuinely ask parents not to put pressure on the students.
okay.
Okay, let them do what they want to do. There are lots of careers, lots of options which we don't know. We can sit together, explore, and then guide them in the right path.
Okay.
So that's what I want to
Yeah.
conclude.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's a
Avinash.
nice podcast viewers today we had. I'm sure this is gonna help you, all the listeners. It's gonna help you all to understand what lies in future for you, especially those students and parents. So yeah, I really thank you for taking your time out and visiting us today. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank
thank you,
you.
Avinash.
Yeah.